Yo, what is up, you guys? It is your boy Legend, and I am back with another video. You guys already know what this is just by looking at the thumbnail. What if Naruto was born early and fell in love with Kushina and Mikoto? Now, if you guys hear any background noise, do not worry about it. It's only in this little segment right here because I got UFC 5 playing in the background. But yeah, I know you guys are surprised to even see me uploading. Um, while I was sick, having a sickle cell crisis, I was actually writing scripts for the actual channel. But that's besides the point, y'all. So without further ado, let's just get into this intro so we can start this what if.
Give me space, I'm protective. My adrenaline spikes when I'm threatened. And if you stay in my way, I'm aggressive. Cause when there's no exit, I'll kill when I'm desperate.
The air inside the Uzumaki compound was still, not with peace, but with a kind of emptiness that clung to half-finished homes. The sun had barely crested the horizon, sending golden fingers of light through open windows, brushing against the pale walls like an artist hesitating with a paintbrush. Inside one such room, Naruto Uzumaki lay sprawled on a low futon, his arms behind his head, crimson hair wild and uncombed. His eyes stared blankly at the wooden ceiling, tracking nothing, thinking about everything and nothing all at once. The room was quiet, but not entirely empty of life. A faint rustle came from the small, worn box nestled near the far wall, home to his companion, a pale green viper named Arakan. The snake was coiled tightly, dozing in the heat, unaware of what the day would bring. Naruto let out a slow breath, eyes half lidded. He wasn't tired, he just didn't feel like doing anything. The war was wearing on everyone in different ways. For Naruto, it wasn't the missions or the bloodshed that weighed on him most. It was the moments in between, the stillness, the waiting, the knowing that peace was temporary, that everything could be ripped away again, and like it had been years ago. There was then a knock on the door. The sudden knocking broke the silence like a kunai through paper. Naruto didn't move right away. He blinked twice, then slowly sat up, his movements unhurried. Padding towards the door barefoot, he slid it open with one hand while rubbing his eye with the other. What greeted him was odd. Kushina stood to the left, her arms folded underneath her chest, lips pressed into a thin line. Mikoto stood to the right, looking equally uncomfortable, her fingers clasped tightly in front of her. The space between them was palpable, like an invisible wall built of unspoken words and half-forgotten history. Naruto blinked. Did I miss something? Neither woman answered right away. They exchanged a brief glance, cool and cautious. Finally, Kushina cleared her throat. Mission briefing, she said. Hokage's office, now. Urgent, Mikoto added, her voice soft but pointed. Naruto tilted his head slightly, still groggy. You two alright? We're fine, both women said in unison, then immediately glanced away from each other, visibly irritated. Naruto raised his hands in mock surrender. Okay, just asking. He turned to grab his vest, then remembered. If both Kushina and Mikoto were personally bringing him to the Hokage's office, this wasn't a normal mission. As they walked through the compound together, Naruto studied them from the corner of his eye. Kushina was tense, her jaw clenched in a way that suggested that she was grinding her teeth. Mikoto walked with her usual grace, but her shoulders were a little too stiff, her eyes a little too focused on the road ahead. It wasn't hard to guess there was tension between them. Naruto just didn't know why. They were friends, weren't they? At least, they used to be. The Hokage's office loomed over the village center, austere and still scarred from previous battles. The Third Shinobi War hadn't been kind to Konoha, but yet the village was still standing. Inside, Sarutobi Hiruzen was writing. His face was tired, his pipe resting between two fingers as he peered over a scroll. He looked up as they entered. "Good," he said, setting the scroll aside. "All three of you, sit." They did. "This mission is unlike any you've taken before. It's not one of violence. It's not one of open confrontation. It is one of patience, subterfuge, and silence. You are to infiltrate the Hidden Cloud Village, Kumagakure, as civilians." Naruto stiffened. "Wait. Within the village?" "Yes," Hiruzen replied grimly. "We have reason to believe that Kumo is preparing a major operation, one that could shift the tide of this war. We need eyes inside, and for that, we need people who can blend in." Mikoto's voice was quiet but steady. "How will we blend in with their civilians? I mean, our appearances will be altered," the Hokage interrupted. "Naruto, Kushina, your hair is far too distinct. You'll dye it black." Naruto blinked. "Black? Really?" "You'll also leave behind anything, everything, that could connect you to Konoha." Hiruzen continued. "No headbands, no marked kunai, no symbols. You will go in with nothing but forged identities and your instincts." Silence fell. Then, without hesitation, the three of them reached for their leaf headbands tied around their arms and heads, and one by one, they slid them across the Hokage's desk, the metal plates scraping softly against the wood. For a moment, it felt like more than surrendering a symbol. It felt like abandoning a piece of themselves. "You will be leaving within the hour," Hiruzen said. "Dismissed." The walk back to the Uzumaki compound was quieter than before. Tension still hung between Kushina and Mikoto, but now it had a purpose between it. They were focused, alert. Naruto opened the door to his home and immediately made his way to the box near the wall. He knelt beside it, opened the lid, and he let his hand rest inside. A smooth, cool body slithered out and up his arm, wrapping around his bicep, then his shoulder before settling inside his sleeve. "Ready, Arakan?" Naruto murmured. The viper flicked its tongue in response, curling tightly near his collarbone. Kushina watched with a mix of amusement and concern. "I still don't like that snake." "He likes you," Naruto said without looking. "He stares at me," she shot back. "He's just protective." Mikoto arched an eyebrow. "Are you sure bringing him is a good idea?" Naruto stood, shrugging on a simple black travel cloak. "He's quieter than most shinobi, and he bites harder." Once ready, the three of them left the village through a hidden side path near the east cliffs. The guards had been warned in advance, no questions asked. Hours passed in silence as they trekked through forests and fields, putting distance between themselves and a land of fire. The war-torn world around them was deceptively serene. No smoke, no screams, just bird songs and the rustle of leaves. As the sun began to dip, Naruto finally broke the silence. So, how are we going to get into the Cloud Village? Don't they have passes or something? Checkpoints? Kushina sighed. They do. Which is why we're going to have to get creative. I could seduce a guard, Mikoto said flatly. Naruto nearly tripped over a rock. What? Kushina glared. No, we are not doing that. I was joking, Mikoto replied with a faint smirk. Mostly. Naruto looked between the two women. You two are not going to kill each other on this trip, right? No promises, Kushina muttered. We need a backstory, Mikoto said, ignoring the jab. We'll enter as a family traveling as merchants or craftsmen maybe. Something that justifies why we're allowed into the village. We could be traders from the land of frost, Naruto suggested. They have limited contact with Kumo, but it's still possible. Kushina nodded slowly. It could work. We'll need names, skills, a reason for traveling. I can sew, Mikoto offered. Naruto tilted his head. Really? Every kunoichi in the Uchiha clan learns to sew. And you? Mikoto turned to Kushina. I brew sake, she said with a smirk. Or at least I used to, before all of this. Naruto chuckled. Okay, so, I'm your son then? Kushina and Mikoto glanced at each other again. This time more hesitantly. Mikoto answered first. You're our nephew. Your parents were killed in a border skirmish. We took you in. Good, Kushina said after a moment. No need to explain why you don't look like us either. Naruto grinned. So, which one of you is the drunk aunt? And which is the overprotective one? Both women spoke up at once. I'm the overprotective one. I'm the responsible one. Then, they looked at each other. Narrowed eyes clashing like drawn kunai. Naruto groaned. Oh no. The road ahead was long, but the mission had begun, and somewhere, nestled along the clouds and the mountains, Kumo awaited. Time skip. The room that they stayed in was cramped, and it smelled faintly of rain and dust, but it was better than nothing. The inn was tucked away in a quiet stretch of road just past the border of the land of lightning. The sun had long since dipped beneath the mountains, casting everything in a dim orange haze, and the three figures inside the room moved with an urgency driven by more than fatigue. This wasn't just about sleep. This was about transformation. Kushina Uzumaki sat on the edge of the bed, a black box of hair dye cradled in her hands. She brought it back in the land of fire, thinking ahead, preparing for this exact moment. She popped the lid open and looked up to scold Naruto for not doing the same, only to stop cold. Naruto, seated cross-legged on the floor, had a chunk of charcoal in his hand. He rubbed it into his wild red hair, strands turning black as the soot clung to each lock. It was messy, primitive even, and he was getting it all over his face. But the result was undeniable. His hair looked naturally dark, with streaks of red still faintly visible in a way that made him look different, older, edgier, like he belonged in the shadows. Kushina tilted her head, annoyed with herself. Her own hair, dyed with the chemical solution, looked unnatural in comparison. Too glossy, too inky. Damn it, she muttered. Why didn't I think of that? What? Naruto looked up, his cheeks smudged with charcoal. The baby fat he hadn't yet lost made the effect even more striking. He looked almost adorable, and both women had to look away to hide the smiles creeping onto their faces. Nothing, Kushina said, a little too quickly. Do you have the new IDs? Naruto asked, wiping his face with the hem of his shirt. Mikoto, leaning against the window, pulled a small pouch from her inner coat and handed over 3 thin forged identity cards. Naruto took his and examined the seal on the edge. Everything looked perfect. He scanned the room next. Sleeping arrangements? There was one small bed and an old sofa. His eyes flicked from the furniture to the 2 women, who were already eyeing the bed with an unspoken agreement. Naruto's sweat dropped. Why didn't we get a room with more beds? Because we're supposed to look poor, Kushina replied flatly. Sighing, Naruto trudged over to the sofa and plopped down onto it. It creaked loudly beneath his weight. Mikoto raised an eyebrow. You're not going to share the bed with us? Naruto froze. No, of course not. Kushina grinned. Are you sure? He didn't answer. His face was burning. Mikoto opened her eyes fully, revealing the cool swirl of her fully matured Sharingan. The 3 tomo spun lazily, a faint threat in her gaze. Get in the bed, Naruto. Naruto blinked, then activated his own Sharingan. Just 2 tomo in each eye. Less defined, less experienced. He met her stare, trying to stay composed. Kushina's crimson eyes opened slowly. Her pupils slitted like a predator's. When she spoke, her voice held a feminine, almost motherly tone, but beneath it lurked something wild, something ancient. Naruto, she said. Get in the bed. A shiver ran down his spine. Yes, ma'am, he muttered, standing up quickly. By midday the next day, the trio was walking toward the great bridge that led into the Hidden Cloud village. The sky above was stormy, but no rain fell yet, and the scent of ozone was heavy in the air. A festival was underway, the perfect excuse to get through the gates unnoticed. With so many outsiders visiting to sell wares, celebrate, or perform, the guards weren't paying close attention to the poor travelers dressed in faded clothing. Still, Naruto's stomach twisted. He hated Kumo, hated their flag, hated the way they laughed, loud and deep, like they owned the world. His homeland, Uzoshio, was gone because of them, along with Iwa and Suna. Kumo had been one of the major players in its destruction. He'd read scrolls in the vault, he'd seen the documents, he'd even fought there when the place was attacked. And yet, those same enemies had left behind ruins, rich with weapons, treasures, jutsus. That legacy had made Naruto rich. Not just financially, but in knowledge as well. Still, walking into Kumo made his skin crawl. Relax, Mikoto whispered. You look like you're gonna hurl, Kushina added, her voice low but teasing. Naruto said nothing. Kushina's hair was tied into one long braid draped over her shoulder. She looked older, calmer. Mikoto hadn't changed her hairstyle at all, opting for familiarity to mask her identity through confidence instead of concealment. Mikoto passed, Naruto a tiny wooden flask. Here, sake. It'll calm your nerves. Naruto reached for it, but before his fingers could close around the flask, Kushina slapped it away. It clattered to the ground, spilling slightly. Hey! Mikoto snapped. We're supposed to be civilians, Kushina hissed. If he's not 16 or shinobi, he can't legally drink in this country. Use your head! Naruto swallowed. They really did have to play the role. Time skip. Inside Kumo. The streets of Kumo were alive with music and color. Festival stalls lined every major road. Man, the air smelled like fried fish and grilled meat. Children ran around with sparklers and shinobi walked openly among the crowd, blending with civilians. Naruto tried to keep his head down, but he couldn't help but scan every face for a threat. Mikoto walked beside him with the calm, casual posture, her Sharingan sealed behind black contact lenses. Kushina wore a loose yukata, her braid tucked into a scarf. You're twitching, Mikoto said casually. I'm just watching. Kushina smirked. You look like a cat trapped in a dog kennel. They stopped at a vendor selling steamed dumplings. As Naruto reached for one, Kushina gently tapped his wrist. Not until we get back to the room. Mikoto glanced sideways, expression sharp. We're being watched. 2 Anbu across the street. They've been trailing us since the east gate. Naruto tensed. Kushina smiled as if nothing was wrong and slipped her hand into his. Then let's look like a cute family, she said sweetly. Naruto flushed. They passed the Anbu without incident. Once they turned a corner, Mikoto whispered, we need to start digging tonight. Kumo's been hiding something big. I heard whispers about stolen weapon projects. Naruto nodded. We hit the archives quietly. But they wouldn't get the chance. Late in that night, Naruto awoke to silence. No city sounds, no footsteps from the floor above, just quiet. And Mikoto, she was gone. He sat up quickly, scanning the room. Her shoes were missing. One of her blades were missing too. Kushina stirred beside him. She's not here, Naruto said. Kushina's eyes opened, glowing faintly red. Mikoto landed silently on the edge of a rooftop, deep within the administrative district. She should have known better than to follow the presence. The chakra was familiar, painfully familiar. A figure emerged from the mist. I wondered how long it would take for you to show up, Mikoto said. The man wore a black porcelain mask, but his presence was undeniable. He was taller now, broader, but she recognized the way he moved, the tension in his shoulders. You left me to die, he said flatly. You earned it. Steel glinted. They clashed, silent, blindingly fast. On the rooftop, sparks lit the night as blades met. Then, both vanished, gone like ghosts. But guys, I'm going to end it off right here. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe while you're at it. The like goal for today's video is going to be 5 likes. So hit that like button. And the faster you get this to the like goal, the faster you get the next part of this. But without further ado, I am out, and I will see you guys in the next video. Stay blessed, y'all.